Hey everybody, it's 9 o'clock and 9 o'clock is with me, Father Warner. We are in Friday of the 5th week of Easter. Our text is taken from John chapter 15 verse 12 to 17, and I've entitled today's teaching, Promotion to Friendship? So let's read the text first. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I have heard from my Father. You did not choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you to go and bear fruit that will last, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. I am giving you these commands so that you may love one another. Now, I was watching the concert of the coronation of Charles III, and at the concert to celebrate his coronation, Katy Perry told the whole world that she was invited to perform and to stay in Windsor Castle with her mother. Now, clearly, she was chosen to perform because of her accomplishment in the world of pop music. You know, from very humble beginnings, this Katy Perry, she used to sing in churches, and she has now established herself as one of the biggest music acts in the world. I was Googling her. She has 108.8 million followers on Twitter, the fourth most followed person in the world. Interestingly, Barack Obama was the first most followed person in the world. I think Elon Musk was the second, I forget who's the third, but Katy Perry was the fourth. Yet, it is very clear that she was chosen to perform at the concert for what she had achieved as a performer. Now, for a minute, sit back and just do a little bit of introspection. You know, you and I are chosen too. Though we were not chosen to sing at the coronation, but we are chosen also to be friends of another king, of Jesus. Talking to the 12 on that first Maundy Thursday, somewhere between the Last Supper and the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus tells the apostles that he chose them. They were not chosen because they had 1 million followers on Twitter. They were not chosen because they had a great fishing business. They were not chosen because they were erudite speakers. They were chosen simply because Jesus picked them. And this is not the first time he has said this. If you read John chapter 13, verse 18, he says, I know whom I have chosen. I know whom I have chosen. Now, Christ tells the apostles, and by extension, he speaks also to us, that we don't have to climb Mount Everest to get his attention. He simply chose us, and he took it one step ahead by calling us his friends. And by doing that, he invited us into his inner circle. You know, this Jesus Club has no enrollment fee or a list of unreasonable demands or memberships that you have to fulfill. His is an invitation with absolutely no hidden clauses. It is not what we can do for Jesus, but what he chose to do for us, to offer his life for us in order to seal that bond of friendship. And in return, he asks that we love one another as he has loved us. All our achievements for Christ and his church, my dear friends, ring hollow if at the end of the day, we are not recognized and seen as people who love. If Christ is not mirrored in us, then the world will not see Jesus or experience his love. We have to understand that we are the only Jesus that some may ever see. It may seem that Jesus graduated or promoted the apostles from servants to friends. Did the apostles just get an internal promotion? You know, many who read this text may also find this term servants or slave rather strange when the word disciples would have sounded more in line with Jesus' relationship with the 12? Did Jesus see his apostles as servants or slave? Because he says, I no longer call you servants. So what comes to mind is, are we not the children of God? And if so, why use a word like servants? Why say, I no longer call you servants? I no longer call you slaves. You see, we need to understand this word servant. Servanthood is the essence of our vocation, the character of our love, and the gift of ourselves to one another. Read that very carefully. Jesus did not say, you are no longer servants in your vocation to the world. He never said that. You are no longer servants in your vocation to the world. If he said that, he would be contradicting his very words when he washed their feet. What Jesus is saying, in essence, is that while you are still called to serve, in my heart, I honor you with the relationship that friends are called to. Because you serve, you are my friends. When you serve, you have understood the one commandment I gave to you, to love one another. And so what can we say? We can say this, that we, reading this text, arrive at the gift of friendship, never graduating from servant work, but really being raised to the level of holy love. We are transformed in our self-understanding from responsibility to a master to the obedience of love. We become the friends of Jesus to find ourselves no longer his servants, but the empowered servants of others. I do hope you liked this teaching today and are able to reflect on this call to be a friend of Jesus. I no longer call you servants, he says. I call you friends. And that is a beautiful gift that Jesus gives us today. I want to wish today, in a very special way, my dad, who celebrates his 87th birthday today. Happy birthday, Daddy. God bless you. God bless you for your love, for our family, for taking care of Mommy each day so beautifully. I don't know whether many of you know this. My father, I think, learned to drive at the age of 78 or 79, if I'm not mistaken. That's when he went and bought a car, learned to drive. Until today, he drives. He drives my mother to church each morning and back, and then he goes out. But he's a fiercely independent man. Many of you might also be receiving, like you received from me, a text message. He writes poetry, he writes his thoughts, he writes about Goa, the days gone by, or sometimes he just raises money for one of our maids or someone who he knows in need. Years ago, I used to jokingly call him the charity commissioner, but I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So happy birthday, Daddy, and God bless you always.